I actually opened up the door when the knock came. And they talk about how you don't want to talk to him. My response was not to open the door because I knew why they were there. But of course I pushed through that and welcomed them in, and that's when they had shared what had happened.
This was Thomas's 4th tour. He had served 2 tours in Iraq. He had served 1 tour in Afghanistan, and this was his 2nd tour back in Afghanistan.
We knew that there was obvious danger. There'd been several thousand deaths that occurred before his, but I didn't dwell on that. It's one of those things that you recognize that even when he went in, we knew that that was a dangerous calling. But it was something that at least I didn't dwell on daily, but yet we knew that it could be.
They had located a trailer down in a valley near Spin Boldak, Afghanistan, which is on the Pakistani border. It was I always think of it as being somewhat like a horse trailer, and it was full of IEDs. They believed that this trailer full of IEDs was going to be pulled into a city setting, and that the terrorists, the bad guys, would come and get these IEDs, and it would be a major distribution point. So it was important that this trailer be destroyed. When the wires were tripped and the explosives blew, it blew not only where the guys were, but it set off the entire horse trailer. So you can imagine what kind of a blast, how forceful that blast was. There were 6 lost that day. It tied for the 4th deadliest day in Afghanistan at the time. I'm not sure where it would rank today. I had lost my mom the very day before Thomas had passed away. And so here we were planning 2 funerals. We had a great group of fellow believers, church members, church friends that were immediately around us and continued to surround us during that very, very difficult time. As we gathered with the other families for memorial services, it was so interesting to see how the different families reacted. I remember one mother, even 6 months after the boys were gone, that she was still up in the generals' faces, just challenging them. Why did this have to happen? Why did you give those orders? I never felt that way. And as we met with the generals that spoke at Thomas's funeral and that we were surrounded by, every one of the even very high-ranking men would greet us with tears in their eyes and say, "I'm so sorry." We even had one man down at Fort Campbell that looked us in the eye and said, "I'm the one that gave the orders, and I'm so sorry."
I think back about too, as far as over that time, I suppose it's over the couple of years since it occurred, the Army was very compassionate. I mean, just keeping in touch and communicating and having different things after the funeral itself in San Antonio. And the generals that were there, they would talk to you and insist that if you needed anything to call them directly. If you know folks that have lost someone in the military or even in any circumstance, talk to them. If they're not willing, they'll let you know. But I think for the most part, we would encourage that because we like that. It worked for us. We wanted to know that people cared. We wanted to know that people had interest in Thomas and what had happened.
A lot of people talked about how encouraging Thomas was. He was such an encourager to people and how they're going to miss that. And those are the types of things that you want to hear is, how did you know him? What did he mean to you? And we always try to be real open to hear those stories. We want to hear those, but we will never know those stories unless that person, if that person shies away from telling us, I feel like we've missed a blessing. And they've missed the blessing of telling us. the general could tell us about each and every one of the men that were lost there. And he turned to us and he said, what some don't understand is that we are engaged in a war. And that is not going to stop just because we withdraw from Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever it is that we're fighting that war. He said, I happen to like keeping it on their soil because, quite frankly, I like to go to the store without looking over my shoulder. But make no mistake, we are engaged in a war, and that just isn't going to go away.